All right. I am here with Blake Hutchison, the CEO of Flippa. How's it going, Blake?
Good, thank you, Steve. It's great to see you. I think I have the privilege of getting on our program maybe once a year, so it's good to see you again.
It's great to see you. And to be fair, we do try pretty regularly to connect and get on the pod, but sometimes it gets tricky. Scheduling is tricky. But I'm excited today to unpack something that we talked a little bit about this before recording. We went back and forth a little bit about it, but I want to kind of give you the floor to open up with Broker AI and how this is going to work. And just for everybody listening, this is a new product that Flippa's been working on and kind of want to share it with everybody here.
Yeah, I mean, we're called the Exit for a reason. We like the idea that we can help buyers and sellers achieve outcomes with the Flippa platform. And obviously, you've done a great job of bringing fantastic guests onto the Exit Pod to talk about, how they've gone through that process, buying, selling, and other. And so Flippa's whole value proposition is built around that. It's democratizing access to liquidity, which obviously is connecting sellers up with buyers. And then buyers, of course, are looking for deal flow and they want to get deals done. They want to buy something and they want to pursue an alternative path to either entrepreneurship or business growth. But all of that, Steve, actually doesn't go that well without awesome people in the middle who do a bunch of burdensome labor that helps the world go around. And so business brokers are the heart and soul of the small business M&A industry, and that's no different in tech and digital, where Flippa spends 100% of its time. And so essentially what we're now doing, Steve, is really two things. One is building Broker AI, which is a suite of services and features that take a lot of the burden out of brokering a deal. And we can go into some detail on that. And then the second thing we're doing as a result of all of those innovations, plus the power of the Flippa platform, accessibility to our huge buyer base, is we're actually democratizing business brokerage and allowing entrepreneurs, business brokers, business coaches, those people who know a lot about business, have fantastic relationship management skills, want to work closer with the world's largest platform. We're going to give them not only the tooling, but leads and marketing to enable them to become successful business brokers on our platform. So this is called the Certified Flippa Broker Partner Program. And the idea is that with this tooling and great brokers around the world, we can help more business owners exit. Simple as that. And so, yeah, we're here to invite as many people to apply as possible. And you and I can get into some detail on that.
Yeah. Yeah. And a conversation I had a couple weeks ago with AI coming in at a pretty rapid clip to everybody's conversation now is around sales and the importance of the ability to sell as something that AI can augment, it can help, but it's the ability to sell a product or service is going to be more important than ever because there's just going to be tons of products, tons of these services out there, and the ability for an individual to persuade or sell a value to somebody else is just going to climb the ranks in terms of value. So I think that this is a great opportunity for people to really kind of repackage what they're selling. Because if somebody can sell, they can really sell, maybe not anything, but they can sell a lot of different things. So let's start with the onboarding itself. What type of individuals are you guys really focusing on the onboarding team with getting people into Broker AI?
Yeah, so first and foremost, we are inviting Flippa community members who have successfully bought and sold because they've clearly gone through a process. And then with our data set, which is clearly a proprietary data set, and then the leverage we have through these AI features, they're going to be a really good fit. And so if you have bought or sold a company before and gone through that process, you know that it's a difficult process. And so empathizing with an end customer is the most important bit, because the AI is really powerful. So now we're looking for people who have that outstanding relationship management and that kind of negotiation capability to sit side by side and provide counsel. So if you have been an entrepreneur, if you've successfully exited a company, if you've successfully bought a company, a business coach, someone who has been a CEO or a head of operations, actually worked inside SaaS, worked inside e-com, worked inside a YouTube channel and media company. These types of people have a unique understanding of what it takes to build these businesses. They tend to understand the metrics that govern these businesses. And then with our tooling, in theory, and of course, we will obviously provide training, both direct consultation with expert brokers, as well as a bunch of content we've produced specifically for this purpose. We ideally, therefore, are looking for people who say, I actually really like the idea of helping small business owners. First and foremost, if you're not passionate about small business, please don't apply. And secondly, I really like the idea of being a part of the world's largest platform to democratize access to liquidity. And so entrepreneurial DNA, critical. Business understanding, critical. Strong communication ability, critical. Understanding of deal structures and how a negotiation actually plays out in the real world, critical. And then on top of that, we'll give you a bunch of agentic level support and platform capability, which makes you super successful.
And I think Blake mentioned something right at the beginning, but if everybody missed it, leads are basically coming to you on the platform, which in any kind of broker scenario, whether it's real estate or cars or whatever you're selling, where you're brokering a deal, leads are the make and break. Basically, being able to qualify a lead, have it come in, and go through that whole process. It's a numbers game. So the idea that you guys are providing the leads because there's just a surplus coming in to the platform, I wanted to just mention that again, if anybody missed that value up front, because that, as an entrepreneur myself, is basically the make and break for any transaction, is the amount of volume that you have as a broker or a person helping.
Yeah,
it's just the name of the game.
We should talk a little bit about what actually goes into the business brokerage process, because then you understand the value of those leads. And so, business brokering isn't just about understanding a business, negotiating with a buyer, helping out with deal structuring, and getting a deal done. It's unfortunately also all of the other things that make business go around. So you've got to market yourself and win clients. And so we call that deal sourcing internally. And we've built a very, very powerful agent off the back of our Lauren AI product. And so Lauren AI is a web crawler. It's built around lookalikes. So where a business is sold on Flippa, we understand what all of the other like businesses therefore look like, and we can communicate with them and bring them into the Flippa fold. And so deal sourcing is something we've nailed. We're very, very good at acquiring leads at a very low cost, and then we've therefore got the ability to pass those leads onto these certified Flippa broker partners for them to work their sales magic and bring into the fold. And so deal sourcing is a critical part of being a good quality business broker, because without good quality businesses to represent, you don't really have a business brokerage. And so we think we're uniquely placed to help business brokers be better business brokers as a result of that. The other thing that happens through the business brokerage process is obviously understanding the quality of a business and then ultimately verifying financials and getting the business ready to go to market. And so Flippa's built a P&L builder. And that P&L builder is built for M&A. And so, yes, there's QuickBooks Online and there's Xero and there's all these incredible cloud accounting software tools. And I'm an ex-Xero employee and still a very big fan of that company. But preparing a P&L for the purposes of exiting a company is quite a different story, because the general ledger has to be transformed into something which is a P&L for M&A purposes, and that will tend to mean it's seller discretionary earnings adjusted. And so all of those non-carry forward expenses, which are impacting profitability, need to get added back, and therefore you have an adjusted net profit. And our P&L builder is an agent, and it does that. Connects to, obviously on an opt-in and permissions basis only, but will connect directly to bank feed data and essentially recreate a P&L that is fit for M&A purposes. So that's key. And most brokers have to either ask their clients to go and work with a bookkeeper or accountant to go and prepare for that, or they have to do that themselves in the case of CPAs and CAs who have gone on to business brokerage. We've also built an IM generator, Steve. So this is actually very, very cool. And the feedback on this, albeit we're only a week into this particular feature, is super outstanding. So as you know, there's a form factor that buyers are used to receiving when they go through a buying process, and they want a PDF, that is a confidential information memorandum that encompasses the key details of the business, its financial performance, industry analysis, and a bunch of other details, so as they can make an informed decision. So we've built a P&L builder, an IM generator. And all of these are individual agents. So we'll have 7 agents running on the platform. One of them, Steve, actually even responds to buyer prospects for you in your voice, and basically tries to assess the likelihood of the buyer being a good buyer, a high intent buyer, and a capital ready buyer. And so much of this stuff is one, cutting edge, but we couldn't do it before. It was really hard. Flippa's been trying this stuff for a long time, and AI for business brokerage is actually a real use case because there's so much burdensome labor. So we're really excited about helping out.
Do the agents have names?
So there's an AI SDR who's called Brian. I don't know why he's called Brian. I'm not sure where the name came from, and we've obviously got Lauren. So Lauren does sourcing. Brian basically rings the prospect and qualifies the prospect. And people are responding really, really well to Brian because Brian has been jam-packed full of Flippa's proprietary data and knowledge base. So we've taken all of our SDR calls across all different cohorts, price cohorts, business models, locations, and we basically filled Brian with the richest data set of qualification calls probably in history. And so Brian's pretty good. Brian knows a lot about a lot of things. He can talk to you about SaaS metrics and how you're going compared to the comp set. He can talk to you about valuation and multiples trends and data. So they do have names. I don't think the P&L builder will have a name. I don't think the IM generator will have a name, but they are agents.
Brian and Lauren, those are solid names. I'm glad Brian he has all the data he needs to help with the transaction. And one subtle detail to this, when we talk about democratizing something, this is global. So you have people that are sitting in India and they're entrepreneurs. They've been running a business for a while. They want to be a broker in that area. I think that this is positioned to basically allow people in their market and in their geographic area, in their language, they can literally jump in, grab these tools, and start transacting. And I think that is a true example of democratizing something when you give people things in different places where it's able to be utilized in a way like this. So it's exciting, and it'll be cool to see which countries sort of take off the fastest. Do you know which ones? Is it just going to be open all at once to everybody, or are you kind of rolling it out one at a time?
So we have been rolling it out quite in a lightweight, softly approach. And so I can give you an example of a few of the broker partners who have now come on board. But in short, it is now global, and it's global for a few reasons. One, the world of entrepreneurship is obviously global. And Flippa predominantly serves a US-based buyer base. Not exclusively, but predominantly. And what we know is that Flippa is a high-value cross-border marketplace to buy and sell. And so as a result of that, we have no choice but to open it up globally, because US buyers might want to buy a KDP business. And guess what? KDPs are ripe in Italy. A US buyer might want to buy a YouTube channel. And for whatever reason, there's a massive YouTube channel community across the Netherlands, right? Like, so the world is the world, and American buyers will take a great quality digital asset so long as it targets an American audience and has great distribution. And so, yes, it is a global program to satisfy the needs of a very hungry US buying community.
Nice. And before we were recording, we were kind of talking about how this works end to end. I really just cannot say enough. The P&L builder, from personal experience, that is like an incredible thing to do, because like Blake mentioned, for everybody listening, the type of P&L is different for a transaction like this than it is traditionally when you're operating a business. And many people don't realize that when they're coming into this, and they hear add back and it throws everything off. So just that feature alone, providing that is just going to be universally super helpful. So we talked about that. We talked about some of the tools. I guess when it comes to the people that are using it now, are there a lot of people testing this out? Are they actual brokers? Are they individuals that have already jumped on? And what are you seeing there with usage on the tools?
Yeah, so I mean, I think the nuance that you pointed out before in all of this stuff is that, you know, Flippa needs to do things that satisfy an M&A use case, but it's an M&A use case for small businesses, and typically small businesses are run by either owner-operator or a very small team. And so there is nuance here, and we're trying to build the feature set to satisfy these brokers wherever they are, that make their lives a lot easier. And it truly is a quite burdensome workflow. And we know that because we obviously have big teams of internal brokers here at Flippa, and they feedback pretty feverishly. And so I'll just quickly double down on your point about, say, the P&L builder. The core difference is really purpose. So a standard P&L shows accounting profitability, but an SDE, seller discretionary earnings P&L, shows the true economic earnings available to an owner-operator. And so they are nuanced, but you've got to build it in such a way that satisfies this particular use case. And the use case is, what does a buyer need to know about this business to inform their purchasing decisions and make judgment as to whether this is a business they can run on a carry forward basis. So the types of people, I mean, just to give you one real example, there's two young guys they're in Rome, actually, and they have experience buying and selling. In addition to that, they run a growth community for Amazon FBA entrepreneurs. And what naturally occurred for them was that as a result of buying and selling, their growth community members asked them advice for how to buy and sell. And then as they start providing the advice, people then say, well, can you just help me do it? And so it becomes a natural extension of their growth, of their community, and a natural extension of their skill set to say, well, yeah, we'll just work with the Flippa platform to make this happen on your behalf. So they are a classic best fit example, and they have joined, and they're called Brokerage. They're now exclusive to Flippa. They leverage their Amazon community. They provide all of the same services to that Amazon community. We have no interest in those services other than to say we value that community greatly. But we do say, now we will put you up on a pedestal. We will market you as the default broker or brokerage for Italian-based Amazon FBA. And we can show them that we have a lead source that they can tap into. So we now give them leads that they can tap into. They can invite them to their community. That's absolutely up to them. But the whole idea is that they say, 1, we're Italian, 2, we know Amazon, 3, we speak Italian. And now they can actually represent that client on the Flippa platform. And of course, Flippa now has a multi-language deal room. So an Italian seller can actually continue to communicate in Italian with an American who wants to continue to speak English. So there is a great deal of value we're adding into the platform, and that's a good example of the type of person who would be a great fit for this program.
Yeah, building a business on top of this, I think, is a huge opportunity where somebody like that doesn't have the time or even resources to build out tools, or they already have the group there. That growth community is a great example of people who are trying to continuously grow. So that's a great example. I did see the language feature in the chat. I think it was a French entrepreneur, and I was going back and forth, and it was translating in real time as you're talking to them, which is a really powerful feature for people that are trying to sell and communicate peer-to-peer.
Yeah, it's actually phenomenal to watch this stuff play out. 1, the speed at which you can deploy it and get it out to market. But 2, customers actually really like it. I mean, this is not a fluffy use case. This is a real use case. I'm Italian. I prefer to communicate in Italian. You're American. You prefer to communicate in English. Let's make it happen. Yeah. And I think it will be cool. Also, we should reconnect on how Broker AI rolls out and how these businesses are built on top of it, because I'll be curious to see these different niche communities. Like you gave the example of the Amazon FBA and focusing on Italian and transacting. I'll be curious to see which types of assets this sort of aggregates the fastest. Because Amazon sellers, from the ones that I've met, are very savvy, very fast, and always ready to release a new SKU and a new product, doing research all the time, very disciplined when it comes to releasing products. So I'll be curious, what do you think is going to be the top category that'll go into this? Well, look, you and I both know that the Flippa marketplace, and generally speaking, M&A moves with the times, and therefore the assets that are of interest to buyers do shift from time to time. And so right now, content sites are obviously not that attractive, but good quality YouTube communities and or podcasts with an established human side to them with clear human level engagement are strong. And so right now, the short answer to your question is it will be the brokers that can tap into e-com. And the reason being for that is that's where there's tangibility right now, and that's where investors think there is less likelihood of disruption. And some form, at least if you've got a good brand, if you've got a repeatable customer base, some form of predictability. Now, for so long, our marketplace has moved, and the good news is the marketplace does do a good job of moving itself, but we also have to force its hand sometimes. So, obviously SaaS was hot, and everyone who listed a SaaS asset got a lot of interest, and multiples were strong. Well, right now, SaaS is a declining asset type on the Flippa platform. So we're a growing company. And we're a growing company because the marketplace moves with how the investors and entrepreneurs want to get deals done. So e-com is our fastest growing asset type, something I wouldn't have said, when was it? September 2021. YouTube channels are a very fast growing asset type. And so as a result of that, the brokers that can tap into those communities, they're the ones where I think we'll see velocity fast.
And for everybody listening that maybe this is the first episode you've listened to or the 50th, Blake and I once a year used to do insights. Flippa released a report called Insights where it showed like the whole year of search data, which categories were really kind of ramping up. And we fell off a couple of years. But I think that it is fascinating how Flippa moves with the different trends that are coming in. Like AI is coming in, obviously, very, very quickly. So for people that have listened through this whole episode, I'd love to get your take on the state of AI. We talked about Brian, we talked about Lauren, we talked about broker AI. Where is AI right now? What are you, Blake, personally excited about when it comes to AI?
Well, I'm very excited about the benefits for our business. And so we're obviously a platform to help business owners sell and to help entrepreneurs buy. And I think that AI will help with making sure that that process is efficient and less painful than it has historically been in a business brokering context. So that's the selfish excitement around AI. What we're seeing is immense amount of fear. Now, I think some of the fear is misplaced. And so Flippa is like a proxy for general investor entrepreneurial sentiment, because obviously we represent digital assets. Those digital assets are built by entrepreneurs. They tend to be tech first. They're building businesses that sell in a digital context. And right now, there's so much up in the air. So we have seen investors with mandates that clearly say, I am interested in a software asset. I'm interested in a SaaS business model. And their mandates are different to what they're buying more than ever before right now, because they're looking for tangibility of product, i.e. an e-commerce business with a warehouse that actually distributes to humans, where boxes leave the warehouse each day, and they sense that customers will still want to buy physical product.
Yeah.
And as a result of that, it's less susceptible to AI disruption. Similarly, if you've got a podcast, you've got a YouTube channel, and there's clear evidence of humans engaged with that and really loving that content, they're moving fast towards that because, again, they deem, at least at this particular time, that it's less susceptible to downturn. Now, let's just go through this and use real world practical use cases. In the past, Flippa would sell lots of iOS and Android apps. And we still do sell lots of iOS and Android apps. But as a business model, that is not challenged, but people are cautious. And the reason they're cautious is because if I can spin up a weather app, if I can spin up the equivalent of a stocks app, and do that for myself or for a community of people interested in that faster than ever before, then the likelihood of someone actually going to the iOS and Android store and downloading one of those apps may be diminished. Maybe. That's a big question mark. But here's the thing. The good news is that the tooling is real, and it does provide a great deal of benefit for the average lay person and average good quality small business owner. So I'm a non-technical CEO, Steve, and yesterday I built a scraper, deployed it, and was able to pull down thousands of contact records from a website. Now that as a tool that I built, I would never have been able to build before. We needed to spin up a landing page. The designers were busy. The marketing team was under the pump. And again, non-technical CEO, built a landing page and deployed it. It went out to market and customers used it and started giving us leads. And those things, one, I was never doing. Two, we would either get our own internal engineering team to do, or we sent it offshore to a WordPress developer and got it back either the next day or many days later. And then the problem with that is, of course, it came back wrong and buggy and didn't work. Yet with this, call it vibe coding or prompt-based engineering, there's just so much so much real value that everyone can provide back to their companies and to their customers. And so I'm generally speaking, if you're a savvy small business owner, I'd get hot and heavy on the tools and start building, because there's so few people who are actually using it to the power that is available to them, that they're missing out, and they can actually accelerate ahead of their competition right now if they adopt fast. And you and I know that. We're reading that. Everyone else who's listening to this podcast is reading that. But I wonder how many people are actually acting on that opportunity.
Yeah. And it's a very small subset of society. They're acting on it. I think time and time again, these types of big shifts happen, and this one's a meaningful one where, like you said, you could spend a few minutes, spin up a meaningful task that you're doing, like an end result. And I think that's just going to flood a lot of the market with different applications. So the differentiator and the moat that everybody's talking about is, like you said, where distribution is going to be key, being able to speak on podcasts, on YouTube channels, on newsletters. I saw, a lot of newsletters move through Flippa. Like, I've been following the newsletter category closely just because I think it's a fascinating category around like Beehive and some of these other platforms that are building out newsletters, so that distribution is going to be extremely valuable, just like I was saying earlier with the ability to sell. So it is going to be cool to see how skills change. But overall, I'm excited for the future. So is there anything else that you want to bring up around Broker AI, and where can people learn about it?
So if you're interested in becoming a partner, please do check out flippapartners.com, flippapartners.com, and that will enable you to get a glimpse of not only the offering for a broker partner, but also the AI tooling is alluded to there. So you get to consume some of the information that we've put together that describes those agents and what they do. Generally speaking, if you're interested in Flippa's AI tooling, just check out the marketplace. You'll start to see Broker AI become very prolific through the platform. Confidential information memorandums rolling out, the P&L builders rolling out, buyer scoring and intent signals being rolled out, so that sellers and brokers can see the benefit of who's most likely to buy, data rooms and all of these types of things, even dynamic meeting scheduling. So just keep an eye on flippa.com. But as I said, love you to check out flippapartners.com and tell us if you're interested in joining the program.
Right on. Well, it's always a pleasure, Blake. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing and updating everybody that listened through. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you so much.